Pemachodron has a really great, I think it's just an audio book called Don't Bite the Hook. And I love that metaphor.
I don't know that one.
So I think it's only a talk in Audible, and I'll try to, again, put that link somewhere on my site. And the metaphor is obviously, so there's something that hooks you. That's the trigger. The hook is the trigger to connect the metaphors. And the thing is, like, when the fish bites the hook, it has, the more the fish fights the hook, the bloodier and messier it gets. So if you can be with the hook and release, hopefully in this metaphor, the fish gets thrown back in the water to its peace and happiness, but the struggle only gets worse the more that you fight against it. Yeah. And you engage with it, let's say. So I guess that brings, I wanted to share with you, so some of the things that I use, and a lot of these things are available on my website and on the other videos that I'm sharing with you. But today I brought a couple of things. I brought some oils that I use, and I brought some Bach flowers. And Bach flowers are my go-to for a lot of things that come up for me emotionally. They work on the nervous system, they work on your emotions. So for example, one of the things that we are talking about right now is we talked about connection. And so sometimes when I get really irritated with what's going on in the world, my personal tendency is to retreat. And that's what pulls me away from that aspect of my core, is my retreating and not connecting with people. And that's what in fact draws me more to myself when I am connected to people. So when I'm feeling that, I'll take this Bach flower. This is water violet. And you just put a couple of drops of this in your tea, in your water, or you can put it right under your tongue. I'm going to put some in mine.
You can put some in mine.
I'm going to
take
put some in yours
too,
right? And another one that I use. Another one that I use.
Drop it on in there.
Oh, did I say that playfulness is another one of my core values?
No, you didn't say that. That's good.
I want to share with you also, this one, Wild Rose. Wild Rose is great because it helps you maintain your enthusiasm for the situation that you're in. Because sometimes the situation that you're in, the situation that you're confronted with, that you have to be in for whatever reason, parenting, work, or whatnot, is something that you're less than enthusiastic about, right? And it may be like you feel your best and your most authentic when you can be really in it, in your life, living it all, but this other shit can get in your way. So I like to use Wild Rose for that. When there's someone that you're working with who's just really irritating you, and you can feel a pin in a corner sometimes in your life. That can be really frustrating. So I like to use this one, and I'll put that in my tea. You always seem very enthusiastic, Amy. Like I said, Amy does everything 100%, but I'm going to give it to you anyway.
Okay. It's going to taste weird?
No, well, they do have alcohol, and they are alcohol based because they're tincture, but it's subtle.
Suddenly we're Catholic.
We're daydrinking. Yeah, right. They are in an alcohol base, but you can't really taste them.
It's just like pleasant, subtle, sort of smooth.
Yeah.
A little like a little flowery.
A little flowery. Well, so they're flower essences. So there you go. You hit it. You have quite the nose, the palate.
Less since Wild Rose and what was the other one?
Water violet. Water violet for connection. Yeah. So I think that this has been super interesting for me. I hope that it's been interesting for you. And you, and I appreciate your time.
I love being your first vlog guest.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And so what I would like to leave you with is a little breath awareness practice. I don't know if you've ever done it. It's a practice that it's called Nadi Shodhana. Have you ever done this before?
I don't know. It has a name on it.
Okay,
so perhaps
there's a Sanskrit name. It's alternate nostril breathing, and it's an interesting.
That I've heard of. Yes.
Okay, so it's an interesting technique that really balances the energy channels of the body. So we're talking about the subtle body now, not the physical body, but the energetic body. And we have the left side of the body and the right side of the body, the fire and the moon side, and of course they flip-flop and stimulate the opposite sides of the brain. So when we do this practice, I like it because, when we're walking, like we've been talking about, you're walking around the world, you're doing all the things that you have to do, and you want to feel that be in that authentic state and feel that your creative self, but also be able to do all the things that you got to get done and be effective in the world. That sort of that balancing of right and left brain, being soft and receptive, yet being able to have that fire, that enthusiasm to act. I think depending on what's happening for you, one of those sides could be more active than the other. And when you're balanced, when those sides are balanced, that's when the center of you, the core of you, the Sushumna Nadi in Sanskrit is really what's online, what's activated. So the balancing of these two channels it brings you closer to center. So we'll do a little practice today. This is something you can do anytime. We'll sit well. The first thing we want to do is sit really, really strong in a comfortable seat. But what we think is a comfortable seat might sometimes be this. And we don't want to sit like that when we're doing breath awareness. We want to sit in a way where we are clear and balanced. So I want you to set your hands down on your chair. And when you lift your butt off your seat just a little bit and scoot it back, like you're sticking your butt back a little bit, and set yourself back down, and you'll feel that you're sitting a little bit on the front of your sitting bones. Okay, so you feel that, and you feel like left and right side of your seat are balanced. Okay, and then go ahead and take your hands to your rib cage, to the sides of your rib cage, and really lengthen the sides of the ribs up a little bit, but balance the ribs over your hips so that you're neither forward nor slumped back. So you're really balancing the pelvis and the rib cage. And then you can set your hands down for now and check. You can close your eyes for a moment and feel whether the crown of the head feels as though it's floating right over your rib cage as well. So you have this nice, clear, and balanced seat to do your practice in, so that the physical body and the energetic body are both balanced and aligned. And now we're going to move into the breath awareness practice, and that will tether the mental body to the physical, to the energetic. So it's a pretty powerful practice. So let's do it. Okay. Left hand down on your left thigh. I'm so in love with these practices that I like to share with people why they're so powerful, and hopefully pretty approachable.
What's this called?
Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. Okay. Thank you for bringing it back. So I want you to take your index finger and your middle finger and just curl them like you're making a little hook, and you'll just rest them at the very top of the bridge of your nose. Okay? And you're going to take
But not like the fish hook.
Don't hook. Don't bite the hook, and don't
bite the hook.
and don't don't catch your nose on your hook.
Okay.
With your hook. Just rest them there. And then you're going to take your thumb to your right nostril and your ring finger to your left nostril.
This requires some coordination.
It does, but it really is, and I'm doing this, don't pinch in such a way that you're squeezing your nose. You want to just rest the knuckles of the index finger and the middle finger on the bridge of your nose, on that bony part of the top of your nose, okay? They're not wrapping around and squeezing the nose. And then the thumb goes to the left nostril, and the index finger touches, the right nostril, and the ring finger touches the left nostril. And they're just resting there. You're not squeezing right now, okay? So just sit there and breathe for a moment, and keep your head turned towards the center. There's a tendency to go a little bit to the right because you're holding your right hand in front of your face. So try to center yourself straight by maybe tweaking yourself a little bit to the left. And go ahead and close your eyes and notice your breath. Notice how perhaps the breath is a little bit narrowed and thinned because your fingers are resting on your nostrils, even though I don't want you to squeeze them. But just that act of having that pressure there can tend to refine and smooth out the breath a little bit. You're starting there. And we start the alternate nostril breathing by closing off the left nostril with your ring finger and breathing out through the right. And then you breathe back in through the right, and you close it off and you breathe out through the left. And then you breathe back in through the left, and you close it off and you breathe out the right. You breathe back in the right, and you close it off, and you breathe out the left. You breathe in through the left, you close it off, and you breathe out the right. Okay, so that's what you're doing. You're breathing out of one nostril and back in through that nostril and closing it off, and breathing out the opposite nostril and breathing back in that nostril, closing it off, and going into the other side. So you'll continue like this you can do this practice for several minutes. It's very cleansing, very clearing, very balancing. Well, Amy continues to do this practice. I've never led her in this practice before. She's a great model. Don't laugh. I want to tell you an additional sort of visual aid for this it can be to consider, like the breast cancer awareness ribbon, where it has one tail and then it loops up and around and then it crosses over and loops back down the other side. That your breath is moving in that channel direction, so that as the breath, for example, moves out the left nostril and back in through the left nostril, it rises up and it crosses to the right side of the brain and loops back over and then goes out the right nostril. And then you come to breathe back in through the right nostril. It loops up and illuminates the left side of the brain, turns over to the right side of the brain, and the exhale moves down and out the left nostril. And you breathe in and out like this. So you're stimulating the opposite sides of the brain, balancing out the opposite sides of the brain, as well as, and related to the energy channels of the body. So you can do this as many times as you need. And I'm going to ask now, since Amy's been our model, to stay with your eyes closed, but release your hand down, your right hand down to your right thigh, and you can continue this. So even though you don't have your hands there anymore doing the breath awareness practice, you can, in your mind, energetically still be breathing in and out the alternate nostrils, and it has a very similar effect. So you could be doing this on a subway. You could be doing this, whenever you're waiting for something in a waiting room, and be doing a breath awareness practice to ground and center and balance yourself without anyone knowing. And then if you're still doing the imagining the practice, even just let that go for a moment. Breathe out through the right nostril and end your practice. Regular, everyday breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So I wasn't doing the practice, but how do you feel?
Good.
You feel clear and balanced?
Yeah, I do.
It's really awesome, isn't it? Yeah. So it's a great practice, and hopefully you have another couple of tools.
Because you have to sort of focus on that, which is also one of the things I do in my meditation practice is just focus on my breath. And just to do that takes some focus and makes you focus on your breath.
Yeah.
So you can really only think about your breath, which is, it's like a double helpful helix.
Exactly, yeah, like the loop. Did you like the loop thing? I love
Yeah,
the
that
loop
was
thing.
a really good thing.
Yeah. And that's why I love these practices, more so for me, because I have a very limited amount of time in which I can do these practices as a working single mother of 4. So I like to use practices that affect multiple layers of our being. So I like this because, again, it's the physical body where I'm sitting in a balanced way. It's an energetic practice because we're working on the energy channels of the body, and it's a mental practice which tethers the mind to the work. And those are 3 different layers. In yoga we call them koshas of our being that are really we're working on integrating and moving us all closer to our core. So that's all about.
Yay.
So thank you for coming with us today.
Oh my gosh.
I love you so much. And
it's my pleasure.